Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy P, also known as Captain P67. We're here today for my Lich Chaos Fire Wasps build. As you can see from the footage, the build is pretty crazy overall. It's not only super fast for mapping, it also does melt bosses, all types of bosses. I also included in the footage was a second trial carry as well, so it's definitely capable of carrying people, so you can also make currency of that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the build. We're going to go straight into the gear first and foremost, and then we'll cover everything else. Now, a little side note as well, if you are looking to get currency, I did actually release a build last week, which is my Lich Erasion Zealots build as well. So if you do want to make that, that's actually under 150 divines. So if you're new to the game, you might want to check that out, because this is a bit more expensive, a bit more has been put into the build. But yeah, I'll include that in the links in the description. So if you're new to the game, you can check that out. But you could also check it out. It is a god tier build. It's just as good as this build also, and it is actually a lot cheaper, under 150 divines. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first and foremost, in regards to the Scepter, we have gone for a Rattling Scepter for this one, for a couple of reasons which I'll explain. But as far as your build goes, if you are leveling, any Scepter will do, as long as it has some spirit and you do want to get some plus to minions. So potentially working your way up to the build, you can get +3. However, with this one, I actually got +4. And we got some great stats on there. And then also, ideally, if you can get allies in your presence regenerate life per second, definitely will benefit the build for a few reasons which I'll explain. As well as increased damage is great. Any sort of mana regen is also helpful. Obviously the spirit is better, so you can have more minions to your build and do more with it as well. Now, in regards to the helmet, you do want to get a +2 to minions, which is better overall, and as much energy shield as you can, and any sort of resistances would be great, and definitely at least one slot, charm slot or rune slot in there, so you can increase the reservation of efficiency of minion skills, allowing you to have more minions and be more optimal in your damage and what you're doing in the game as well. In regards to amulet, you do want to get a +3 to minions. However, you can get +4, and any sort of spirit will be beneficial. I always recommend, just like the last build, try and get +40, so +40 to spirit, which will help out a lot. And also, we have got a lot of rarity on the build, so any rarity is great for currency and farming as well. And any strength for more HP and global defenses and resistances is great as well. Now, in regards to the body armor, you do want to get 61 spirit, which is the sort of almost min-max you can get off base, but 61 is a flat highest you can get. And then you can get ones that are slightly a little bit extra, and you can get efficiency and reservation on there as well. Those all cost you a lot more, so if you do have more currency, you can opt for that. Again, this is a build I wanted to make. Not only covers all the areas, but I didn't want to make it so it's unfathomable for sorts of players that can't play a lot and don't have like a lot of currency. It has got a few hundred divines in the build, but it's definitely viable when you can get it. And again, you can use the older build, which I'll link in the description below, which was under 150, and you can use it to farm. That also has very high rarity, so you can use that to get that, which is what I've done with this build as well. So body armor, get as much energy shield as you can, and spirit 61, and any resistances, and life regen can be beneficial as well. I always recommend some sort of life regen or life leech if possible in any build, so we got life regen in the build as well. Now, in regards to the offhand, we have got a focus, which is +2 to minions, which again is the highest you can get. And also any sort of mana regen is great, with a lot of energy shield and any resistances. And then if you can get like 1 or 2 slots, even better, so you can add more runes in there, so you can get more chaos resistance or cap out any resistance you may be missing. And then obviously for the rings, you may have seen these before, and these are pretty best in slot overall again. Rarity is great. We get more life, which is great. We get more spirit, which is great. And you can also cover your resistances. So if you can get 2 decent Ventus rings, you can get your resistances pretty much covered overall. And again, you can start with lower rings, which I did again. And then I just built them up and got better ones as I got better currency playing the game and playing the build more and more. So just go for any sort of like plus on resistances if you need those covered. And then mainly is the spirit as well as the rarity if you're trying to get more drops. And we have got, I believe, 143 rarity total on this build. It's a lot. And we get mega drops. A lot of raw divines, a lot of raw chaos orbs. A lot of raw essences and greater essences and perfect ones, and a lot of currency overall for mapping. And in regards to the gloves, try and get as much energy shield you can on the gloves, and I've added rarity again to these to keep that same flow going, and any sort of resistances that you might need as well, which is beneficial. And in regards to the belt, I've gone for an ingenuity utility belt. So this will increase the bonuses gained from the left ring and the right ring. So as I mentioned, the stats which are best in slot, we're also getting bonuses from those. So even without the belt, you might be getting them, but with the belt, you get that increased, and increasing your rarity, and increasing your life, increasing your spirit, which can be definitely beneficial for you. And it is sort of best in slot for the build as well. You can also get ones with slightly different stats, increased charm charges gained, and also you can get decreased charm charges used. But I've just used what I got for now, and then obviously you can increase it if we want to as well. Now in regards to the boots, Bones of Ulu Lattice Sandals are best in slot again. You could also get 30% increased reservation efficiency of skills which create undead minions. I believe a fully corrupted, like a max roll, might be 36%, but I did go for just a flat 30 for now. There are some ones for 32 and stuff available. We're a decent price, you can get those, but again, I just wanted to make this as optimal as I could with a kind of like a set amount of currency. I've still got a lot of currency left, but I'm going to be making another build. I made this build in like a week, and I'm going to keep making like builds like weekly pretty much anyway. And just testing and having a bit of fun in the game also. Since I was new to the Lich last week, but I have learned a lot. Okay, so in regards to gear, we covered the main items for the gear. Regards to flask, you could use any flask. You could get an Olroth flask if you have more currency for more survivability overall. But I wanted to mention this one for a few reasons, which is pretty cool. This is just a normal flask, which I found, normal mapping. And I do run a lot of Super Juice T15s. T16, sometimes T17 maps overall, but this one just came from I think it was T16 anyway, and basically it says grants 73% of life recovery to minions. So even if your minions you feel are getting low, and they might do, which I'll explain how the build works, you can just use this and get your life to minions back. However, if you got an Olroth flash, you can use that, which will be beneficial for you as well. In regards to charms, we've got some normal charms, so there's nothing too fancy about these, so you can get these normally, but you could use a rite of passage, increasing that rarity again, and that would probably put you at the cap as 150. So you can change any of these, but we just wanted to make sure we cover all these. So if I become frozen, energy shield, which we have a lot, we have 13,000 13,682. So with this we just get the recharge of the energy shield once we proc that. This one means you can't be stunned, so we also recover life. So even if you do some reason get heavily stunned, and I've tested it against certain like pinnacle bosses, Super Just, Giona, where if for any reason you do lose your life shield, then you do get stunned, you will get a little life back. Add that to the life recovery as well, or the life regen, and that kind of gives you better survivability overall. So even if you're on like a minuscule of health, you like kind of survive, and you can pop a flask or a potion. And if you have the Olroth flash, you get guards that will instantly recharge you back, and you'll be pretty much unkillable as long as you kind of are wary of what's going on with the map itself. Also, silver charm, so slows as well, can't be affected by slows, which is beneficial for mapping, and can be a hindrance on some maps and some modifiers, but I think this helps out a lot. And then finally, what I've added is pretty cool, is a melting maelstrom ultimate mana flask. Now, what it says is every 3 seconds during effect, deal 100% of mana spent in those seconds as chaos damage. Since we're a Lich and we got Unholy Might, we do have a decent amount of spell damage, which we've proc the tree, because not only do we do damage, the minions also do damage, and this also adds up, which we do chaos anyway with Unholy Might. And it deals damage to enemies within 3 meters, dealing 25% of current mana as chaos. Well, actually, no. It says 100% of mana spent. Deals the chaos damage to enemies within 3 meters. That's also additional damage. The negative end of it deals 25% of current mana's chaos damage to you when the effect ends. However, because we've procced in a certain point in the passive tree, we don't take any damage anyway, and we've got a lot of energy shield as well as a decent amount of base life too. So we are very, very tanky, giga tanky. Now, in regards to the gear, we will now go over the skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the camera so you can see the skills in full capacity. I have got the full mobalytics as well included, so if for any reason you can't watch the full video, you are a bit stuck for time, you can just go straight to the mobalytics. And if you are more of an advanced player, if you don't want to listen to the whole build, you can just skip to that as well. But I'll have both, so the options there for you. So anyway, so in regards to skills, I kind of mentioned this in my last build video, but I'll go over this again, which is pretty cool. So if you see my character just walking casually, and in the footage you may see a glowing aura around me. We basically have unlimited buffs and unlimited 3 procs of buffs which rotate and proc randomly, because we have this tech that I found. So with a rattling scepter, you can use any scepter. You could use the other one for flames, which not this one, but you can use another scepter as well, which also does presence and gives you fire resistance, etc. as well, which is pretty cool. But the reason why I like this one, not only do you get a free extra point in your slot, but this tech works really well. So because we've got skeletal warriors, I've added Amanamu's Tithe, which this means is every time my minions die, they will give me a buff for 20 seconds, and it's 3 different abyssal monster modifiers. So it's basically having a headhunter without having a headhunter, all the buffs, but no sort of like losses. All our buffs are pretty cool. We get basically, see these procs now. So these are like chaos sort of damage missiles that come out every few seconds. They do decent amount of damage. They add to everything. They kill things as well with the Holy Might. We also get a crazy aura, which is massive, as you probably saw from the footage. And then we also get a homing fireball, which again is more damage and it's pretty awesome. Can finish off targets. They do a decent amount of damage, but it's not mainly for that. It's mainly just for the buffs overall. And why not have more damage if you can have it, especially since our minions are doing damage. Now the way we proc that is we've added Infernal Legion. So basically when they spawn, our minions will instantly die. And they'll also do fire damage based on their life to any sort of enemies around them, so 25%. And as soon as they spawn in, you will see the skeletal warrior just dying down. And that's it. And they proc straight off that, which is pretty cool. Then we've also added minion instability. So not only do they lose their HP and do damage as they're dying, they also explode. And they do 15% of maximum life as fire damage to surrounding enemies. So it's just, we're doing damage with our aura. These are doing damage just running into enemies, going crazy, and then giving us buffs on top of that. And then we also added Sacrificial Lamb, which benefits from our Pain Offering skill, which I'll go into as well. And then we've gone for Unearthed for a couple of reasons. Pretty cool. So you can also do damage, which I mentioned. Not just the minions do damage, we do damage. But I've added this because the synergy is pretty cool with the whole overall build. So what happens with Unearth is when we do this over a corpse, it actually summons more zombies, which are those like little small creatures, a bone construct, and we can resurrect up to 26 of them, which is pretty insane. Now they've also proc off this, so we've also got knockback. So if for any reason you are getting attacked and you do want a bit of like leeway or space, you can use knockback. And I've also run this build in Simulacrum 3, super smooth. So the build does everything you want it to do. All end-game content. Mapping is super fast. I've also included that in the footage. It's insane. The mapping is just godlike. And then Simulacrum, you can just get easy currency. And because we've got such high rarity, this is pretty awesome. And then on top of that, we got efficiency. So we're not losing any mana. We want to have as much as high as mana as we can. I'll explain the passive tree. And then what we've also got in, which is pretty cool. So we actually can poison with this attack. 60% chance, and because we can proc it multiple times, there's a high chance of doing poison on enemies. Then we've also added Bursting Plague, so poison from supported skills also adds up to 100% of damage per second to enemy as plague, up to a maximum of 20% enemies maximum life. So you can also use this as a finisher, whether it's on bosses, smaller mobs or minions, but it's just, again, it's just bonus damage since we're proccing other stuff in the build as well, and the synergy is just pretty phenomenal. So we've also added a skeletal sniper to have more range for our build. So these can shoot things off the map. And again, this also does poison. So this also synergizes with this that's coming through. But this does poison. We do rapid attacks. A lot of arrows come out. We also do bleed. So we're not always reliant on one type of damage. We're doing poison. We're doing bleed. We're doing chaos damage. We're doing physical. We're doing flat. It's pretty awesome. We're doing fire, flammability. We're also including minion mastery to do that more damage overall. And then muster. And just quickly, just to show you, I wanted to mention, if you can see this, on kill effects. So slaying monster item drop rarity modifies 143%. That is flat for all the minions and all the damage we do. So we have 143% rarity. One good thing is muster. Muster supported minions deal 7% more damage for each type of reviving minion you have summoned. And because we got a lot, we do scale off that. So let's just say 1, 2, bone constructs 3, 4, 5. And even if these have got a minion tag on there, that will be included, which they do. So let's just say 6. And then specters also says minion there, which is 7. So it's a lot of increased damage with muster. And then we've also got Skeletal Storm Mages. So we've added Minion Mastery for that higher level. Rapid Casting since I did the casting with electric, which is a lot of damage. They hit really hard and it's really quick. Muster, which I've already explained. Feeding Frenzy, which is phenomenal. And then we've added Esh's Radiance, which is pretty cool. So Chaos damage from hits with supported skills also contributes to Shock Chance. So since I mentioned Unholy Might, Unholy Damage, we also do chaos damage with our minions, and this also does shock chance, which increases that. And then it also gains 40% of lightning damage as extra chaos damage, which is pretty insane. Now, what we've got overall is the specters themselves. We have got the Gargantuan Wasp. We've added a higher amount of gem. So we've got a corrupted jewel, which also gives us the higher quality. So minions deal 33% more damage. But this is including Diala's Desire. So Diala's Desire, it gives you 1 support, so it gives you more damage overall. So we got a higher level of the actual skill. Then we get higher quality amount, which then increases the damage. And that's why we got way more damage. So we got 33. Because of the quality and the levels as well. So it's best in slot. Muster, I've already explained what we got it, which is pretty cool. And then also Feeding Frenzy. Because these actual specters deal damage, they also leech damage. So the quicker damage and the more damage we can do, the better overall. So this does more damage, leeches more. And then this is the sort of like secret source overall. What we've added is Infernal Legion 3. So minions from supported skills take 30% of their maximum life as fire damage per second. Minions from supported skills also ignite enemies within a radius of 2 meters. As though dealing base damage of fire damage equal to 25% of minions maximum life. So as I showed you, I used it just to kill these minions quickly and get our procs. We've got this, however, because we've also added Tech Rod's Revenge, this is more tech. Minions from supported skills die 20 seconds after their life is reduced to 0. Minions from supported skills gain Soul Eater when their life is reduced to 0. Minions from supported skills gain 40% increased attack and a cast speed when the life is reduced to 0. So the difference between that and this is these will just kill him instantly. So we haven't got a way of saving him because we don't want to. Because we want him to die to get sacrificed so we can get buffs. However, with this tech I've got, we also get all the buffs of the damage plus the ignite damage. And the minion's life itself, we've got quite a bit of life in the minion. Is dealing 25% of life. And because the duration lasts so long, by the time these might expire, we also get them resurrected. But we've also got regen, so we keep them alive with regen from here anyway. We've added regen from the passive tree, and they also got life leech, so their survivability is insane. And then if you want to go off the tooltip, so let's just say maximum life is 40k. You can get it a lot higher, but again, I made this just specifically for this build, and just I feel that it does everything it needs to do, and it's pretty comfortable, and it just covers everything I need, and I'm happy the way I got it. However, with the passive tree, you can tweak it, and again, I can explain this, how to change it. But of course, use this as a blueprint and change it how you want to change it overall, and just so it can suit you and your play style as well. But again, I've tried and tested everything. I've done a lot of content. I've done Uber carries, I've done Sekima carries, and it does everything it needs to do. So it is pretty optimal the way I got it right now. Also, Pain Offering is another one. So Pain Offering, basically we sacrifice a minion, which I mentioned, Sacrificial Lamb. So normally sacrifice these. However, it does sacrifice anything else, it's fine either way. We do enough damage with any sort of minion dead, and that's why we've got so many minions on the screen. So basically this also gives minions a buff. So when this does sacrifice any minion, it grants 34% increased attack and cast speed. Also grants our minions 79% increased damage, which is amazing. We've added Dance Macabre in there, so increase our buff effect. And all of these including the mobilitics anyway, and you can just read through them if you're not sure what they do. I thought I'd just give you a short abbreviation what they do. So deal more damage, deal more, the buff effect increases as well. We've added the duration, so it actually lasts a bit longer, 35% more skill effect duration. And this also again, offering skills a 30% increased buff effect and it also sacrifices 15% life on use, which is fine because we have so much life and energy anyway. Also offers deals 30% more damage. Magnified areas to recover more AoE, and then Brutus Brain, because basically this is classed as a minion when we pose it. However, with the Brutus Brain, it cannot die or be damaged basically. If it can't be damaged, it can't die. That means you get the full effect and you'll keep that proc the whole time. Now, what I've also added is a wolf pack. Now, in the footage, I did originally not have these in, but I did change it and re-record everything. Basically, I've added wolf pack for a few reasons. They're really cool. Number one, they do a lot of damage. They're fast hitting as well. They do class as a minion, but they're also classed as a companion as well, which is pretty cool. So I've added minion mastery for that extra level, more flat damage. Feeding frenzy, since they deal more damage. We have a lot of HP already. And then we've also added muster, which I've already explained. And then we've also added this, which is pretty cool. I do find even at 12,000 energy shield and even the energy shield I got, you still can take a lot of damage if you are running juice maps and you're running multiplayer. So I wanted to make the build as high as DPS as could, as well as giga tanky. And I think this adds another layer on top. So 10% of damage from hits is taken from your supported companion's life before you. So since they have a decent amount of life anyway, this actually adds a 10% damage reduction, which I think helps out a lot. And then it also says you recoup 200% of damage taken by supported minions this way as life. And minions from this supported skill are 30% maximum, less 30% maximum life. So if we go over just to double check the tooltip itself. Go over here. Let's see how much we got. So yeah, it says 14,000, but because we got life regen in here and we got life regen in the build, they pretty much survive throughout the whole, pretty much most of the fight. And even if they do die for any reason, they resurrect really quick anyway. So I kind of double covered that in that regard for that. I think we got somebody buying something right now. Yeah, and then last but not least, what I've added also is rapid attack. Since they do hit a lot and they do a lot of damage, it's pretty cool. Also, I've added something else in the build which causes wither effect. And with the rapid attacks, this also helps out keep that withered effect on them. And then it also does more damage overall. Because we are using a lot of elemental skills, I specifically made it so we are. So we got lightning from here. We got fire from here. We got fire from here as well. Elemental weakness is just perfect. When we use this, it basically applies a curse and it basically gives them negative elemental resistances, does more damage. It is classed as a curse skill, and we got the magnitude higher as well. So we've added heightened curse, we've added magnified area, more AoE, duration is increased as well, and potent exposure. So this has an increased effect overall. And then we've added cursed ground, so it added supported skills create a cursed ground. Enemies in the cursed ground from a supported skill are cursed while within it, so while they're in it, they're going to get cursed from it as well. Now, while you are leveling, if you don't have enough spirit and you want to do more damage, you can actually have Frost Bomb in there and add more elemental exposure in there as well. So Frost Bomb we could have added in there, but I wanted to keep the build pretty much simple. So you're going in, you're only pressing a few buttons, and even the rotation is very simple, which I'll explain to you as well, which is pretty cool. But that is another option if you do want to add Frost Bomb in there to do more damage. You can do a lot more damage, but I want to just keep it simple and not too many button presses and sort of a clean play style for the build as well. Now, what I've added in is Skeletal Brute. Skeletal Brute hits very, very hard, and you can do a command for the Warcry, which is pretty cool as well. So if I can bring this up, let's see if I can just show you off here. So this comes under the command skill. So it does his basic attack, then you got the Bone Breaker, and then the Shattering Roar. So basically, when you use a Brute, use a Warcry, intimidating nearby enemies, consume freezing enemies, and allows to deal damage in the area around them. Now, we don't really need to proc any of that. It's just there because it's added, because we've already got that Brute minion. But the main source of damage for the Brute minion is the armor break. So we've added Uruk's Smelting, since they hit mega damage, and you hear the armor break quite a lot. So fully breaking armor with supported skills causes targets to permanently take 5% increased physical damage, up to 20%. And it breaks 70% more armor. Now, we do a lot of physical damage with not only the minions, we also do a lot of physical damage with the Wasps. So the synergy is pretty phenomenal, as well as a wolf pack. So as you can probably get to where I'm getting at now, everything just synergizes really well with each other. Hence why I've added everything very meticulously. Minions deal more damage, so flat damage, breaking more armor. Rapid attacks, more damage, more DPS. Quicker damage, more armor break. Muster I've already explained, and then I've also added armor break as well. So break armor equal to 15% of physical damage dealt by the sported skill. Since they do so much physical damage, then breaks the armor. The endurance charge is just there. It's not really something that we proc into or use, but it is just there. And if we just go off the basic attack, as you can see, damage per second, 26,000. A lot of it is based off the physical damage overall. So causes the arm break happens, more damage, and the synergy is there. And these are very, very tanky as well overall. So maximum life 21,000, pretty giga tanky, and we have some damage reduction modifiers as well. And then finally, because we have gotten Holy Might, which I'll go for the passive tree. Despair is another damage modifier. This basically reduces the chaos resistance, and we do chaos damage from me as well as my minions, which I've already explained. And this just adds even more to it. And again, this is just simple button presses, and I'll go for the whole rotation with you as well. And in regards to this, we've gone for efficiency, so it doesn't cost us mana. We want to keep our mana as high as we can all the time to do that Unholy Might, do more damage for us and our minions. And then we've added increased magnitude and duration, as well as ritualistic curse, so the AoE is even higher. And then it also erupts as well after. And then decaying hex. Since we have a lot of intelligence, why not do more damage? So it says here, deals 100% of intelligence as chaos damage per second for 8 seconds, which is pretty awesome. So what we're going to get over to now is the passives, and then I'll go over the rotation and then total stats, and I'll be as quick as I can for you. Alright, so let's get over to the passives. So the passives themselves, we go for the Necromancer as it says here, but it is the Lich Ascendancy, so Witch to Lich, and then you get this high rarity and you become rich. Let's get it. So with this, what we've gone for is what I was talking about, the Unholy Might. So while you are not on low mana, you and your allies in your presence still have Unholy Might, which is basically chaos damage. For us, on our hits we do chaos damage, and our minions do chaos damage as well, which is pretty awesome. So we've also gone here for the maximum energy shield. This is one of the reasons why we're so giga tanky. And then this is like sort of like creme de la creme, best of the best. So whatever jewel you put in here, it does get increased effect of the socketed jewel. So we've got increased maximum energy shield, so we get way more increased energy shield. We got higher increased mana regen, which I've already explained why we've got it and how we've got it. We got Kappa's minions increased damage, which is 15%. And then we've also got minions increased attack and cast speed, which is beneficial, and that also doubles up. So if you can see the stats up here, that's great. But if you look below, 40% increase maximum energy shield, so it's doubled. 26% increase mana regen, 30% increase minion damage, and 6% increase attack and cast speed because we put it in here. So this is best in slot. Then we've also got increased maximum life, 10% of damage taken bypassing energy shield. However, regenerate mana equal to 6% of maximum life per second. We also got maximum life. Because we've got eternal life, none of this matters. None of that matters. So this is what I kind of mentioned about the other stuff before. If we have energy shield, and because we have so much of it, our life basic cannot change, so it can't be affected by any of the proc basically. So we're kind of immune to the other procs, whereas like poison, chaos, bleed, as long as we have energy shield, and as we have so much, we have that covered as well. Now over here we've gone for spread of minion damage, and again we like double dipping. But not only do we do good damage, our minions do heck of damage as well. So we haven't sacrificed anything, but we're double dipping with it. And then we're going over here, so you can add strength, intelligence according to what you need to get to your attributes. More energy shield, more energy shield, more energy shield, and then down here for more energy shield, which is why we're so tanky and we have so much. And then we got balance, so we got more life for our minions, and more minion life here, which is amazing. More damage, and more movement speed, attack and cast speed. Hence why they do so much damage so quick, and they're super strong. Now, in regards to these, you do want to go for Grand Spectrum to get that increased spirit. I've got 3 of these socketed in. They are pretty best in slot overall, so this is the way you can increase the spirit. And I've had a few questions when I've showcased the build to people just looking in on the build as well, so definitely get those. And then we got down here for more life, as well as chaos resistance. And again, this is what I was talking about. Minions regenerate 3% of their maximum life per second. This is the reason why our Wasps can stay alive and regen and get life leech, as well as the regen from the Scepter as well. More damage here, more damage here. And then also, because I mentioned the physical damage that we do, minions gain 10% of physical damage as chaos damage as well. So chaos is just double dipping and we're scaling. Now we've gone up here for Giganticity, or I'm just making it up as I flow, but gigantic following. So minions deal more damage, they have more life, more damage, more life, and then this is pretty cool. So your minions are gigantic, which means they have 20% more life, 20% more damage, increased damage, but the reservation does get reduced, but we're getting buffs, so we want to make them as big and strong as we can and do more damage. So you get all the extras from here as well as a life, so it's more beneficial. And then over here, we're going through here, down here. For intelligence, more AoE, so presence of effect, more increased presence of effect, and then also more increased presence of effect, which again affects the unholy might, but we also get 4% flat more spirit. Over here, I've gone in, which I've already mentioned why is good. Attack and cast speed is great. And then we also added resistances, so they have way more survivability. For all our minions, we're not just relying on one minion. All our minions do great damage, and they all synergize together perfectly. More energy shield through here. Then we've gone over here for another grand spectrum. This is pretty optimal, so more and more damage up here. And then we've increased the reservation. I've added more life here. And then this is pretty awesome. So we get more AoE from all our minions' attacks and procs for everything we do. And then we also add Withered, which I mentioned. So minions have 10% chance to inflict Withered on hit. Because we have so many minions and the attack and the cast speed is so fast, we're pretty much proccing that all the time. And Withered basically increases the damage, chaos damage they take, which synergizes perfectly with the build. And then the minion 20% increased AoE. We've gone up here for energy shield, which is amazing. And then we've gone down here. More minion damage for us and our minions, and then finally 20% increase, which is amazing. Now, one little side note, I have gone down here as well for more tankiness, and Ancient Aegis is godlike, hence why the more you can get on your body armor for energy shield, this will scale really well. Side note, I would say, if you have got really say more expensive gear, or you've invested more into the build, and I think you can get the energy shield up to 20k again, like my last build. So you can like proc into it more and more if you wish. So if you do feel like you're super giga tanky, you can actually go into here, because we've got companions and we've also got minions. This can really scale really well if you've got that extra tankiness. However, with my current setup, I wanted to keep it true to what I've got. I think 13.6k energy shield with the 1.6k base HP is perfect. Not only can we take giga damage from pinnacle bosses, it's just right. I think under it, you can get hit in like super juice maps in multiplayer for a lot of damage, and it's not the most optimal. So the more survivability you got, the more damage your minions you can do, and you can just stay next to bosses. So I think with the 13.k, I think the balance is perfect. But again, just tweak it how you want to tweak it. Now, what I've also added is minions life, which is amazing. So dead can dance, so this gives you more, and minions have a bit of evasion. So I might add survivability to them overall, but the minion life is insane. And then increased damage, flat 10% there. And then over here, we've got 60%, well, 60% increase maximum energy shield. And then finally, we've gone over here for the last Grand Spectrum Emerald, which is phenomenal. Now, we've gone over the passives. Again, all this will be including the mobilistics for you. I'm going to bring the camera back and I'll quickly go over the rotation for you. And then we'll go over the total stats just to kind of like finalize everything. And that should be everything covered for you, top to bottom. Just bring this camera back. Pow. Pow. And drag and drop isn't working properly, but we'll make those adjustments. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so I think that kind of brings everything back in the camera. Everything's still visible. So, yeah. The rotation. So I said I wanted to keep it as simple as I could. Now, number one, when you're mapping, you can literally just probably play with one hand. You can probably just literally walk through T15s. I did make a bit of a meme on the stream. We were just playing. I was literally just one hand just relaxing, keeping my chin supported so I wouldn't fall asleep. And we were literally walking through maps. And you can literally just melt everything. If it's a T15, you can literally play one-handed. You literally walk and everything dies, even a T16. But in regards to rotation, mapping, you don't need to do anything. Again, it's just that strong. But if you're fighting a boss or a particular boss and you want to do optimal damage, all you do is drop your sacrifice, which I just forgot the name for it. Pain offering. So first drop your pain offering, number one. Then drop your elemental curse and then your despair curse. And then literally the RB on my controller is proc for your skeletal sniper to do the attack, which is the gas arrow. What that does is it then poisons the enemy. So not only does this do good base damage anyway, it's literally just that simple. And pretty much every boss dies with, you don't have to do anything else. Now you could also then proc your actual attack yourself to do even more damage. I mentioned the poison build up, but literally is that simple. So pain offering, elemental weakness, curse, and then your poison arrow from your minion, and that's it. 4 buttons, that's all you need, and you can kill every boss, every pinnacle boss. And then like I said, if you want to add more damage, you can add extras for your own damage. You don't have to proc the brute minion, but if you watch this real quick, you see him roar, that's the war cry he does. But that really doesn't benefit anything that we do right now, so you don't need it. It's just there if you want to add it. But also one more thing you could do. You see those lightning bolts coming down from the sky? We do have the skeletal storm mages, so you can proc that also when the charge comes back. So that's another thing you can do. You could do the same rotation, sacrifice, elemental weakness, despair curse, and then you just can wait for a second or two. But because the gas arrow is always available, you can proc that. And then if you want to wait, since he has a bit of charge time for the storm mage, you can add that after as well. But that is literally your rotation, so that covers that for you. So that's pretty much everything covered. Now I'm going to quickly go over the stats. I'm not really going to move the camera, but overall total stats you could probably see here anyway, and again all will be included in the mobilytics. Fire resistance, all our resistances are covered, but we got our K resistance not fully covered since we are immune to it, but I do find having more anyway will keep you from losing it, your energy shield in the first place. So I've added more in there, 58%, and then rest of the stats you can just like slow the video down and just go for the mobilytics and check those. But this is what we got, and also our rarity I've gone through as well, which is the 143, which is shown off the actual minions, because with mostly our minions are killing, so it's minion on kill, which will come with the rarity. But overall we got 1698 life, 13,682 energy shield, 832 mana, and 544 spirit, 33 dex, 163 intelligence, and 91 strength. So that is it, folks. That is my Lich Chaos Fire Wasp build. All mobilytics will be included in the link, and that's everything covered. If I've missed anything else, let me know. Thanks for everyone checking out my Zealots build under 100 divines. That was pretty awesome. That's almost on 1,000 views, a lot of likes. So you can also like this video. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel for free. Just a quick plug, I guess, at the same time. I do stream on Twitch every single day. I do actual second carries. I do help viewers out getting currency. And because this build is just blasting, I'm getting a lot of currency. I do split the currency with the viewers at any drops as well. I do also run temples with my viewers for fun. And just a lot of content in general. We're on every day. And I'm always trying to learn and just like practice and experiment with the game. Because I think the game's super fun overall. But apart from that, wherever you are, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good evening. I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy, and peace out.